You're watching Golfing Greats in Their Own Words with 2012 Masters champion Bubba Watson. In the next part of our conversation at the Kuala Lumpur Golf and Country Club, Bubba talks us through the greatest moment of his career so far, how he donned the prestigious Augusta green jacket in 2012. After losing a playoff at the 2010 PGA Championship against Martin Kaymer, this time Watson prevailed as he produced a miracle shot to get the better of 2010 Open champion Louis Oosthuizen on the second extra hole of the 2012 Masters playoff. 2012 began well. You had, I think, 3 top 10 finishes in 7 events. What kind of feeling did you have that it would be a special year as you went to Augusta in April of that year?
You know, if you look back, it was about the top 25s. You know, my goal every year is to make a lot of top 25s, because that means you're playing well. You just might have missed a putt here or a putt there. And if you look back at that year, the start of that year, I had a lot of top 10s right away. Finished second at Doral, the World Golf Championship. Finished 4th at Bay Hill, and Bay Hill was my last tournament before Augusta. So I knew I was playing good. Had a 2nd, a 4th, and then I won Augusta. But going into Augusta, my mind was so free because of our adoption of our child the week before. So right after Bay Hill, we adopted a child, took the child home, cared for him, and then I had to leave to go to Augusta. But for me, it was about wanting to be back home with my new child, with my wife, and spending time as a dad. And so playing golf, the birdies, the bogeys, the missed putts, it didn't really stick in my head as much, you know. And at the end of the week, somehow I won. And so it was just it was a wild stretch where I adopted a child, had this new child, and then I went the Masters. I mean, it was all blur, really.
Because, you know, like I think after 3 rounds you were in 4th spot, but there were about 10 players who had a chance of winning. You know, what kind of opportunity do you think you had going into the final round there on Easter Sunday in 2012?
You know, what's funny about it is when you look at it, me as a person, I'm looking at it going, if we stayed, I think it was top 16 at the time, we get to come back to Augusta next year. And so I'm looking at it, just make sure you have a decent round where you can top 10, maybe top 5. And then if you play a really great round, you can win this thing. And on the 2nd hole, my playing partner, who I played in the playoff with, Louis, makes a double eagle. He jumps 4 shots ahead of me. So I'm looking at it going, well, maybe not win this one, but we can do it, still have a top 5 or something. And then coming down the stretch when I made the 4 birdies, that's when I realized, wait, now we're tied for the lead. We can win this thing. And so there was a lot of emotions, but I just tried to keep my head down and have a top finish at a major again and somehow pull it out again.
I know you've been asked many times before about that miracle shot that you hit in the playoff, but tell us, you know, what went through your mind as you prepared to hit it, and how much were the wiffle balls back in as your childhood part of that?
You know, when I look back at it, when I watch it on TV, I watch the shot, my emotions at the time were, watched him, I went out to the fairway, watched his ball to see where he hit it, and I saw he came up short, which was almost impossible up and down. So now, over my shot, I was a little bit more confident because I knew he wasn't going to birdie, where I didn't have to birdie him. And I figured a par was going to be very tough. You still put in your head that he's going to par, but there might be a bogey in there. So when I got over my shot or around my shot, I was thinking, I never thought about the trouble. I thought about, I have to hook this ball, I have to hit it low and hook it. And I knew my distance. And so I planned on adrenaline, planned on being pumped. So I planned on, it was going to go farther. So I went with a sand wedge or gap wedge instead of a pitching wedge. So for me, it was about, I never feared. I never had any fear. I just had the shot in my head and somehow pulled it off.
Well, it was an incredible shot, but, you know, obviously you had other things on your mind because of the adoption of your son. I mean, tell us how surreal was that feeling when you were putting the green jacket on and you'd realize that you were a major champion, but you had other stuff to attend to?
Yeah, you know, it was tough. You know, my mom was there, and, you know, to see that some fellow golfers come down to the 10th green to watch me was, again, a big honor. You know, for them to respect me that much, to come down and watch me. Obviously, we're pretty good friends, I guess. And so they come down and watch me, but the emotion right when I tapped it in, you know, my mom being there, my dad not being there. So there was a lot of emotions, you know, losing my dad, now becoming a dad, and there was just so much stuff going on. And then putting the green jacket on, thinking I'm in the Masters for life, you know, thinking I always have a locker there. Thinking I've worked so hard, I've came so close at majors, and now to win one. I mean, it was just an overwhelming feeling of just everything. My whole life in a split second, that little short putt that I made, my whole life just flashed in front of me about how crazy my life is, but how beautiful and how positive my life is.
As he searched for his first PGA Tour win post his Masters success, Watson had a disappointing 2013 season with only 3 top 10s in 21 events played, and he finished a modest 38th on the FedEx Cup standings. He was only tied for 50th in the 2013 Masters. Up next on Golfing Greats in Their Own Words, why Bubba Watson is unlike any other player on the PGA Tour because of his distinctive habits and the colour pink.